very alive. On the one hand, the stories of Genesis place a premium on movement, on change. Abraham, Jacob, Rebekah, Joseph are often on the move. To discover new meaning in their lives, the characters of Genesis frequently get up and go. On the other hand, there are moments within these stories of travelers that illustrate our human desire to arrive at that perfect place, the desire to stand still and claim a space, a place for ourselves. There's a poignant moment in this week's Torah portion when Abraham makes just such a claim. Sarah has died, and Abraham, journeying in the promised land of Canaan, but in a region, as the story states, where land is owned by the Hittites. There, in Hebron, Abraham seeks to purchase a burial plot for his wife. He petitions the Hittites, "I am a resident alien among you. Sell me a burial site so that I may remove my dead for burial." Abraham identifies himself to the Hittites as a resident alien. In Hebrew, he calls himself ger v'toshav. To define himself in this moment, Abraham juxtaposes two almost opposing terms. "I am a ger," Abraham says. "I am a sojourner, a newcomer, a temporary dweller, a stranger." And he says, "Simultaneously, I am a toshav, a settler, a resident, an owner." "Ger v'toshav anochi," Abraham declares. "I am a ger and a toshav. I travel or I settle. I am a temporary dweller, but I am an owner. I am a newcomer, and I've always been here." Ger v'toshav anochi. Binding together competing and complementary desires for movement and stasis, ger v'toshav may serve as a shorthand for our engagement with Judaism and with the synagogue community. In this place, we are gerim v'toshavim. Here, spiritual and intellectual movement fosters positive change, deeper connections between each other and with our texts, values, and rituals. That's the ger part of the equation. Movement, never settling, challenging ourselves to ever improve. Hopefully this movement, these explorations lead to becoming a toshav, a resident with deep-seated knowledge that this house, this place, is your home. Ideally, being gerim v'toshavim within Judaism and within a synagogue is a dynamic process. We move, we arrive, but then we head off again towards new ways of being, of understanding ourselves, our synagogue community, and Judaism as a whole. Ger v'toshav anochi. In our story, Abraham asks the Hittites to sell him a burial site. In Hebrew, a burial site is called an achuzat kever. Kever means grave. Achuzah, however, means a possession or a holding. The word comes from the verb achaz, meaning to grasp, take hold of, or to seize. When Abraham buys a piece of land in Canaan, he becomes an owner. The moment signals a transition in his experience as ger v'toshav, for Abraham seizes on something. He puts down roots and commits to a particular place. With our own experiences as gerim v'toshavim, as sojourners and residents within Judaism and Jewish community, we too have moments when we choose to buy in, to commit to a particular location, to seize a piece of a place for ourselves. And I'm not referring, in this instance, to that important moment in your life when you decide it is time to buy, as Abraham does, a cemetery plot. There comes a moment in our sojourning when many of us decided it was time to grab hold of this place, this synagogue, to invest, as Abraham did, and become an owner of this achuzah, this holding, this possession. Many of you, after exploring Congregation Beth Am and feeling that it held the promise of becoming your Jewish home, you filled out a form, you wrote out your check, you became a member. So what does it mean to be a member of a synagogue? To buy in? What does it mean to buy into this ever-evolving project of creating a synagogue community? What does it mean for you to seize it, to take hold of it as your achuzah, your possession, your holding? The Hebrew word for membership contains a response to this question. In English, the word membership does not convey any particular values. However, in Hebrew, this problem is somewhat ameliorated, for the Hebrew word for membership is chaverut. Chaver is a friend. Chaverut implies that becoming a member of a synagogue, you move into relationship with others. By becoming a chaver, by seizing this achuzah, you become responsible both for a place and for its people. You are also responsible for the congregation's values, its mission, and its future. In a word, by becoming a member of a congregation, you take hold of its soul, its neshama. In the first verse of this week's Torah portion, called The Life of Sarah, Chaye Sarah, Sarah dies. Taking note of Sarah's death in the opening line of a portion named for her life, Rashi summarizes a rabbinic tradition which asserts that Sarah's death was an after effect of the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, an event that immediately precedes the report of Sarah dying. She, rather than Isaac, was the true victim of a family's trauma. As Rashi comments, the death of Sarah is narrated directly after the binding of Isaac because, as a result of the news of the Akedah, that her son had been fated for slaughter and had been all but slaughtered, her soul flew away and she died. Parcha nishmata mimena. Sarah's soul flew away. It's an evocative image, a soul flying away. The verb parach, to fly, can also mean to bloom, to blossom. The soul of Beth Am is in your hands. We, my colleagues and I, do our very best to advise you, to support you in its nurture. We are stewards, but not owners. As professional leaders of this congregation, we do not own its soul. It is not our possession, our achuzah. It is yours. So as your advisor, I offer this unsolicited advice on how to care for a synagogue's soul during this period of Beth Am's communal life. Tending to a synagogue's soul during such a period requires honesty, debate, encounter. It requires the clarification of a community's values and the development of a shared understanding of the words shalom bayit and kehillah kedoshah, peace in the home and sacred community, and the means by which they are both achieved. Hold on tight to the soul of Beth Am, tend to it, heart it, nourish it, so that, in time, its soul may once again flourish, so it may blossom, so that it will not fly away.